Compost is the heart and the intelligence of the farm. There is no more important tool than compost. It functions as a biological activator, a weaver of relationships, disease inhibitor, growth regulator, and nutritional source for all the living components of the farm. The soils, the microorganisms, the worms, the insects, the plants, the vines, the trees, and the animals which graze upon the land. Show me the quality of its compost, and I will tell you the health of the farm. Show me no compost, and the farm is impoverished, denied the essential ingredient to long-term health and stability. On-farm compost production is, by nature, individual to the farm where it is produced. The rhythm of production, the materials from which it is made, especially if they are grown on site, all are unique. It is as a mirror, reflecting the farm and in the process magnifying it, increasing the uniqueness of each farm. There is no time during the year when we are not making and thinking compost. Not that we continuously build piles. We make compost after harvest each year, at a moment when the greatest possible diversity of materials is available. But the great ballet of planting, tending, and harvesting components extends for the entire cycle of the year. It is like the earth, following a path each year which brings it back to the approximate place where it began last year at the same time. This video is a brief window into that process, the mystery of life into death, into life once again, the greatest mystery and the greatest miracle on our Mother Earth. The process begins in January, when we prune and collect all the pruning wood from the vineyards. They are stored at the pivot until the following fall. Each winter, we also plant new trees on the properties: willows, poplars, oaks, redwoods, and more. All serve as shelter and substance for the living creatures with which we share the farm. But they also serve as donors to the compost pile. Once they are mature enough, they are thinned or pollarded, a form of severe pruning, and the harvested material is stored like the vine prunings until the following fall. They are an inexhaustible supply of riches, generational rather than regenerational, not only in their lifespans, but in their contribution to an ever more complex and diverse farm ecosystem. In late spring, last year's compost piles are turned and moved, yielding a magnificently rich bed into which we sow sunflowers, sun hemp, and sorghum. Each will become a precious supply of green manure for pile construction, each thrifty in their need for water, vigorous and massive in summer growth. Each chosen because they patiently remain green until we are finally ready to harvest them for their contribution. Late in spring, we harvest the hay from our 14 acres of pasture, with an average yield of some 300 bales, all destined for the fall compost pile and animal feed. Summer is the time for our one material from off-site. Organic cow manure is collected in the milking barns by our dairymen friends in the Strauss Family Creamery Group. They too warehouse this precious resource until we are ready for it in the fall. During the fall, we collect the solids from the harvest, both red wine fermenters and white grape pressings. They remain in piles until the harvest is complete. Fall is also the time for forest and tree thinning and pollarding. Each year, a different set of trees is chosen for pollarding, and each year we survey the vineyards, choosing which trees to remove. At last, the autumn days arrive for the full orchestra to come together. This is a beautiful 2-week process. We begin by chipping the woody materials and water them so that they go into the piles ready to decompose. Vineyard, tree, and shrub prunings all participate in this step. While the chipper hums, we clean the gardens and bring in mountains of prunings. Then follows the harvesting and chipping of the green materials, including the sorghum and sunflowers. Harvesting of green materials needs to begin just days before we build the piles. They begin to combust almost as soon as they are harvested. Finally, pile construction begins. We use a layer cake technique, beginning with a thick layer of hay on the bottom, which absorbs any runoff from the layers above, just like a sponge. Then, each material is a layer spread with great care to an established depth. Thicker for the lighter materials, thinner for dense materials, such as cow manure. The layers repeat until the pile is approximately 6 feet tall by 6 feet wide. A final layer of straw is applied as a thatch roof to insulate the pile and protect it from the vagaries of weather. Finally, the most important ingredients are added: time, patience, and the passing of the seasons. The piles will rest for approximately 8 months undisturbed, living the cycles of winter rain, spring growth, and early summer as they express the great movement of the heavens and the earth through the year. I never tire of this process.